The world's a better place because you are here to join us. My name is Matt Brown, and I am the host of the Productive Conversations podcast, brought to you by Magic Mind. Check out the great stuff they're doing at magicmind.com and give yourself a little boost in your world. And today we are about to officially begin our summer season of the Productive Conversations podcast. We are adding a second tweet cap to the week now. So how about that? You get 2 tweet caps a week with your sports thrown in between and any other shows. So we're very excited with this. So let us begin the summer season, the day after Labor Day. And right here we have the supporting co-host, unit production manager, cinematographer, producer, casting director, and all that in between. Mr. Ryan Page, it's great to see you.
How's it going, Matt? Wow, that's too many jobs. We have to get we'll just go with supportive co-host as the catch-all for all of that.
All right, that is great with me. So we're about to start our summer season, adding our second tweet cap to the week. And let's get into it. Let's talk about what happened last week at Memorial Day weekend. And first things first, I want to talk about the biggest athlete in the world, arguably, and her name is Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark has officially begun her WNBA career. Remember, people, she was put on the worst team in the league, and they had a slow start. They just had their first win on Saturday against the Los Angeles Sparks. But she's doing fine entering the league. She is definitely getting what any rookie would get, you know, paying her dues, if you will, get her some hard fouls in there and people double teaming her, but she's holding her own and she has a lot of my respect. And I am proud to say I am a brand new, genuine fan of the WNBA, but for the New York Liberty. And, you know, with Caitlin Clark, obviously she has a lot of weight on her shoulders and she's a genuine star. And that has caused a lot of people to be jealous, to be blunt. Not only the players giving her a hard time, but hey, she's holding her dues. But we also see the media taking shots at her, which I'm very surprised, especially The View. And one of the co-hosts of The View, Sunny Hostin, suggested that Caitlin Clark's popularity is due to pretty privilege and white privilege. The literal quote is, "I do think she is more relatable to people because she's white, because she's attractive," Hostin said of Clark. All right, let me get my words out of the way, and then Ryan, you could say your opinions, and then we can put this to a head. Caitlin Clark is a very special athlete. One thing I have learned over the years is when it comes to sports, and I'll be frank, you know, it's more than just men in the 4 major league sports and then stuff like that. There's stars everywhere in all sports. Seriously. I admit I wasn't much of a women's basketball fan at all. You know, of course, you respect the UConns of the world being dominated and all that, but I just wasn't that invested in it. Then comes Caitlin Clark from the University of Iowa, who, quite frankly, was the chosen one, but not because she's white, not because she's pretty or whatever. It's because she can ball. She's a great shooter. She can defend. She provides turnovers. She's a leader. And though she came up short to win a national championship, she really deserves the praise. And quite frankly, it did take the media to hand choose her to say, hey, look at this person right here. And I think rightfully so. And just seeing the media taking shots at her and making what's already quite the obstacle to overcome. Like, are you serious? Listen, I get the players giving her a hard time. That's for any major rookie in any sport.
Yeah.
And especially a star. And we'll see it from time and time again. And we talked about how now NIL athletes are going pro. And a lot of these players didn't get paid for their talents. And they're giving her a hard time there. But it's just pure. It's just so obvious that it's jealousy. Like, and that's just, it's just ridiculous. I am utterly shocked from what she said. I don't watch The View. I'm sure it's a great show. Shouts to Whoopi Goldberg. But like, she said it herself too. Like what she said, Whoopi said, compared to Caitlin Clark, that's like telling a black person you only got into an Ivy League school because you were on the basketball team. I might have misquoted there, but I'm paraphrasing. It's just, I just don't understand, Ryan, why they are giving this woman a hard time when she could genuinely ball. and she's on a team that's literally was the worst team in the league. That's what you get, the best draft pick. I just it just baffles me when we're trying to really empower these genuine women athletes, specifically here in the not college basketball, in the basketball game. I
Right.
just don't see why they're creating more obstacles. And especially once the NBA playoffs are done and hockey playoffs are done, when the WNBA only has baseball to compete with in the summer, I hope we could see more people get more praise like that. But just why are people making it so much harder for her to really grasp and get ready to be in a new league? She is a pro. Professional athletes are 1,000 times better than collegiate athletes, even at the highest collegiate level. And
Mhm.
it just takes time. But I just don't get why people are really putting their pettiness out there for somebody who is just trying to get used to her, stardom while also trying to win a
Mhm.
championship, I assume.
Yeah, I think part of it is so I don't know if we always want to put malice in place of ignorance. And I say that because I mean you do an amazing sports show. Everybody should listen to it. Again, in the middle of the two tweet caps. You
Thank
cover
you.
basketball often, especially now in basketball season. Um, and I am not one of the people on that sports show. Definitely not my particular
We got sports
area of
entertainment
expertise.
shows.
That's right. But I do
Mhm.
still watch, I grew up watching sports. I do still watch football, basketball on occasion, right? So
I
me
think
and
you're a
you,
genuine sports fan, Ryan. I really
well,
do.
thank you. Me and you though, like we know, like you said, we know the worst team gets the best draft pick. So if you go number one in the draft, the team that took you most of the time, unless there was some trading or whatever that went on, isn't that great
Yeah.
at the moment, right? That's why they picked you because you're really good and they need some really good players, and so that's how it's supposed to work. As you pointed out, nobody has watched the WNBA before. I know that's me generalizing. They have fans. They've always had fans. They have always had ways to watch. And now, for the first time, people are taking them up on it, right? They're buying the WNBA Sports Pass to watch all the games, and they're following the coverage of the WNBA, etc. So these people don't know how it works. These new fans, it's new to them. And so if you are a longtime sports fan, you might be able to catch on. But if you're brand new to sports at all and you're just following it because of the cultural phenomena that is Caitlin Clark, you may genuinely not understand what's happening. So I just want to, for those people out there, that's an important thing. For anyone who doesn't understand why it's so different, it's because she moved to the professionals. Like, obviously, the professionals are good. And I think that's part of it too, is there was especially I think in a lot of male sports fans that I've talked to about this, there's an underlying kind of belief that the WNBA was bad at basketball, and that's not true. Like, you
No,
know what I
it's
mean?
it's a
Like,
completely different game.
right. So the idea that, oh, she's doing poorly, which must mean she's bad, stems from a belief that the people who currently play professional women's basketball are already bad at basketball, and that is not the case.
No.
So that's number one. So if you think that she's doing bad because she's not beating like seasoned veterans, it's probably because you don't give these seasoned veterans enough credit. Um, I won't go and say it's the same as calling, I won't compare it to any other lived experience for anyone else, but I do think it's so interesting because the media did create Caitlin Clark in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. Not saying she can't, she's a very good basketball player, but like they did kind of just pick her. I mean, the second overall pick for this year went to the Sparks. The people I believe they just lost to Caitlin Clark this weekend was Cameron
Yeah.
Brink,
Right.
who is also white. I would say, like she's whiter and maybe even more attractive, conventionally speaking, than Caitlin Clark. I don't know. She got the blonde hair, the blue eyes. That's like
Yeah.
how a lot of like if you're casting someone in like a movie about a pro athlete, that might be who you're looking for. So, I mean, they could have picked her. You know what I mean? Like the idea that they like just
Yeah.
picked her for no reason is crazy. Of course, they picked her for the reason of her being good, but she was picked. And so I don't know why they're not seeing it through. Why they're not covering this the way that they ought to be.
Like I said,
That's a
it's
real
just to
shame.
me, it's just pure jealousy to be the one to literally rejuvenate a league and to get it
Right.
in the true mainstream. It's just pettiness, if anything. And
It almost feels like gatekeeping.
yeah.
I mean, we talk about fandom all the time on this show, because it's a culture show, right? It feels like these like the people who talk about the WNBA all the time are upset that there's so many new people who are now
Mhm.
talking about like us. Let's be honest, we would have
Yeah.
never covered WNBA last year. Like we've done the show for a while now. We never covered the WNBA. Now
Uh-huh.
we do. We've done Caitlin Clark stories a lot because she's popular. And so like I think it's almost like I feel like people are jealous, like you said,
Yeah.
like but not like jealous like they want to be Caitlin Clark. They're jealous of all these people that Caitlin Clark has kind of brought in. And they'd rather it be a small sport that only they watch and they can, hold themselves high and say, well, I watch women's basketball and I'm, a true fan of the sport and whatever. And like, no, everybody in that league wants to get paid. And that's
Yeah.
like Caitlin Clark is helping them do that. And it's not just Caitlin Clark. Like I mentioned Cameron Brink. I've seen her all over my timeline. I've seen the person who
Angel
was
Reese.
Angel Reese all over my timeline now. Like people are paying
Sabrina
attention.
Iacono is great from Liberty,
Right.
and
And
she's a
people are
veteran there.
but people are paying attention to the league now. So these other names, these other stars are like kind of getting their own little like bubble like of fans and support. Be like, oh, this person's good. Oh, that person's good. And like that's only gonna help. Like, that
Yeah.
really, there's no downside. And in terms of her, like, obviously, it'd be better if she was winning. I get, and maybe like LeBron James, I'll use him as an example, kind of messed with people's like heads as to what a debut looks like because he had a fairly strong like entrance into the professional league. But like most, even like the top pros in all sports, but even basketball, like they don't start there.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
have to be very flush. Yeah,
Steph Curry is
nobody.
one of the best, but he wasn't anything special at the beginning. He had to work his way through. You know what I mean? Like he started as
Right.
just like a
The
specialty shooter, and then ended up
from
being one of the
Dartmouth
big stars. Yeah,
and with the old Golden State Warriors logo. And
yeah.
that all takes time there too, and going through different coaches and stuff. And like I said, we don't have too much time with this. We do have to move on to other
Yeah.
things, but it's getting used to it for everybody, especially me, who's a very big sports fan. And
Mhm.
I got a while before I could really fairly cover the WNBA and
Mhm.
used to this really if it's coming in its own. No, I mean remembering it's in the summer season and also just seeing the different storylines. I know it's been around since 97, so it's 26,
It's younger,
7 years.
younger than
Long
us.
time.
Younger than
Yeah.
us. Yeah.
So the only thing I remember that Disney Channel movie with the sisters in the
I do
WNBA.
remember that.
So it's just something to
Yeah.
get used to for everyone. I say don't
Yeah.
make your pettiness and jealousy obvious, which it seems like these people are doing it. Just give these ladies a chance. And if there's anything that you want to at least get some interest, at least have the wagering aspect too for the degenerate gamblers. Anybody, you could have a donkey in a race. They will be the biggest donkey running
Yeah.
fans, if
People.
anything. That's
Yeah.
what do you think, if anything, you could just wager on them and, you know,
Yeah, gambling will always push people into new sports,
'cause
but I do think that genuinely folks covering this should look at this as an opportunity to grow a new sport, a summer sport, which I'll be honest, no offense to baseball, we don't have a strong summer sport, really. You know what I mean? Like
yes,
that
baseball,
everyone
that's baseball's
watches.
fault with that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just it's regional with baseball.
But I'm saying that there's an opening and basketball is easy to understand. It's already very popular. I don't know. I think that folks need to like cool it with the hate. On the court, no. I think they should keep fouling hard. They should keep playing hard
Yeah.
because it's A, going to make her a better player, and B, it's going to make all these other players look like a bigger deal, provided that the coverage is about how great these veterans are that are defending Clark and keeping the top scorer in college basketball from scoring. Like you know what I mean? So it only makes everybody look better, and they know this. This is not new. So, like you said, I think this is maybe some hazing from the media class, and that's not your job. Don't do that. The players can do that. You guys can't. That's my opinion as someone
You
who's like halfway involved in it.
you want to know what's one funny is unique thing that I never saw in an injury report, but it's true. And this is I just was laughing at this. I was looking at an injury report. You know, they say
Mhm.
this player's broken ankle, torn
Oh yeah,
hamstring. Then you have one pregnant. And I was like,
pregnant.
oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oh
that's something
yeah.
you don't
That
think
that
about, right? Like,
no, exactly. Don't forget some of these athletes become mothers if they choose to. And
yeah,
you just that's just It's not an injury. It's just you, like
But
you
they're
said, it's just
out.
something you
Yeah,
get
they're
used to.
out.
You're out,
Yeah, they're out for
pregnant.
sure. Yeah, and that could be for season. That could be season, depending on when
Yeah.
that could be season ending.
Can you imagine?
Um,
You're
I
you're
mean,
all,
yeah,
you're hot.
I
Your
can't.
season's hot, and then you lose your best player because it's their time. I guess.
I mean, I have to imagine. I won't even get into that. I have to imagine some of the top players are probably very aware of when their season is,
Yeah.
and try to avoid that if they
Mhm.
can. But you never know. Yeah,
Right.
I don't know.
And
To
the
me,
biological clocks are in
you're
that
right.
time.
Like I said, I'm sure a lot of folks probably prepare for their season by
Hmm.
taking precautions, but some don't, or some choose not to worry about that. Like you said, just time is time, and yeah, that is weird. I have seen the graphics for who's out in certain games, and I have seen pregnant come up, which is it's kind of jarring as a
Yeah.
new fan to be usually you're used to like MCL like however many weeks, but to have and then to still have those because those injuries still happen.
Yeah. You
So it's
last
like
for
MCL, but
at
don't worry,
least
the
9 months.
center, their best shooter has an MCL tear, but don't worry, the other team's best center has a pregnancy, so it's a wash.
I
Like
guess.
yeah, that's definitely a crazy new aspect to it. Not new, but crazy aspect to it for a lot of fans. Again, it's all so new. We have to give it
Yeah.
more time, I think, and we will. Like they're all very good. I've watched a few games now because of this, and they're all very good, and the tickets are expensive. I think they've gone down a bit, but I tried to catch tickets for her in DC, her
Oh
first
yeah.
game here, and it was hundreds of dollars. And they weren't good seats. They were just seats inside. And they were hundreds of dollars. So it's definitely an expensive she's definitely an attraction because those tickets are expensive.
Yeah.
And that's again, that's only good for everybody involved, for the league, for the sponsors, for the fans, for the players.
We'll definitely see how the summer unfolds with the WNBA. So let's now go to another sports related story. Ryan, let me show you a popular video from this past weekend. Just one moment.
And I can't wait for the while you're pulling it up. Can't wait for the Caitlin Clark Antonio Brown crossover podcast. It's coming. I don't know who's gonna book the two of them, but someone will.
Oh my god. Yeah, what accusations he has there? Hmm. But anyways, I'm having trouble with the screen share for this. So we'll just um I'll just tell you what happened and hopefully
Mhm.
it works later. But Conor McGregor, arguably the most famous UFC fighter, is 6 weeks away from his return match against Chandler. I'm sorry, that's our expert isn't with us today, Dolo, but he is out partying, going crazy, and people are
Michael
clouding
Chandler.
McGregor. He's supposed to be getting ready for his match. Okay, Michael Chandler, but these videos of him partying in the weekend, seeing him making out with somebody. Now, it was confirmed that that's actually his fiance, Dee Devlin. It wasn't, him blatantly cheating on her, so that's good to see. But Conor McGregor partying, do you think people were taking a little too seriously, or should he be training at this time, 6 weeks out from his match?
Yeah, I mean, someone posted on social media to bet the house on Chandler. Obviously, you know me. I do not condone gambling, but if you're going to partake in that sort of thing, yeah, bet the house on Chandler. I listen. I think if he was in the gym or in training, like really working at it, he'd still lose this fight. I don't think he can win this fight. Like, no, it's not an insult. He's just well past his prime. Like the dude's got stuff he has to work through. I mean, it's nothing's confirmed, but it's pretty obvious to just watch him for more than a few minutes at a time at any gathering. He's definitely, got some stuff to work through. His own, maybe his own personal demons, if you will. I just don't think he has a shot at winning this fight. Anyway, so the idea that 6 weeks out, he doesn't appear to be at all ready for this fight. I'm sure he's getting a big payday to do this, and that's probably good. Um, he also has a bunch of his businesses. Like he was at, I believe this all happened at his bar in Ireland. So like it's his,
The
and like
Blarney
he
Stone, was it?
not
I'm
the
kidding.
Blarney Stone, like the black something pub or whatever. I forget the name of it, but it was his. I know it was his. He was at his thing. He did a signing there. There was a DJ there. It was a whole thing. He's got his proper 12. He's got a lot of good things going for him. He doesn't really need this fight, and maybe that's how he's looking at it. But if you were hoping for a Conor comeback, like a real one, I just it's not gonna happen.
So
And
you see this, him really blatantly proven like, this is just going to be a payday for me instead of getting
yeah, I
ready
do
for
think
this.
so. I do think this is him just maybe he's even telegraphing it. Like I don't care. You know what I mean? He's still, although I don't know, like he's still a pretty big draw in the sport, but I don't know that he's the only draw in the sport. So I don't know what the thought process is there of having a bad showing. Um, and I do think it'd be a bad showing, but maybe I don't know. I don't know how long he usually takes at training camp, so maybe that was his last night out, and he's gonna, come really hard and try and train and have a respectable match. I think that's the best he could do anyway, and I don't know if Dolo would agree or not. He'll tell us in the comments if I'm right, but from my understanding of mixed martial arts, I think he's pretty well beat already, and that's before the partying and the drinking, instead of training. And so yeah, I think that this may be even him telling us like, don't get too excited. This is just for me to get a little bit more money before I have no drawing power in the UFC anymore. Um, and maybe Roadhouse didn't do that well. I don't know, but
Yeah, Prime.
yeah.
I still haven't seen it, but I still have to plan to. But yeah, maybe that is just the case. It's just funny seeing him. He clearly likes to party. And, I guess let it do him. We'll see what happens in 6 weeks from now. And if he really gets his ass beat, they will definitely refer to this video we just saw.
But you know
But
what? Just counterpoint to that, he could win. Like I know I said he can't. Obviously, I believe that, but could you imagine if you go out partying like this and not a care in the world, guys like me or like you can't win, people in the UFC like the MMA media like he can't win, then he does. Like if he's confident and he thinks he's got this, then why would you go out party? And it'll only make him look cooler if he does do it. Yeah, everybody loves the story of the athlete who doesn't have to try too hard, is just naturally gifted and wins. And so if McGregor thinks he's that guy, then this could be on, he could just not actually not caring and like I'm just trying to get money. He could just genuinely believe that he's the best fighter around and he doesn't have to worry about Chandler. I don't think that's true, but he might think that's true. Um, and it would be one of the biggest stories in like MMA if he does it, right? If this image is image one and the second image is him winning the match, him getting his hand raised at the end, even if it's not even a great match, that's going to be a big thing. People are going to be talking about like, wow, McGregor didn't even try and he ended up winning, and that'll instantly boost his price for the next fight. Probably get him a better place on like a better venue, better everything. Like it'll get him just a ton more stuff. Not that what he has now is bad, but so it could be a plan. Like he could be working really hard and someone. I mean, I don't know. This person doesn't necessarily know anything, but I was reading about this and someone said they didn't see him drink anything.
oh, well,
He was
that's a
holding
good
the
thing, I
bottle.
guess.
He was holding the bottles and dancing or whatever, but no one saw him have a drink of
This
anything.
would have been such a good moment for Liquid Death if
But
he could
could you,
just have done.
liquid death? Isn't that water?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like I think it was designed as Liquid Death is a drink that was designed as an alternative to partiers. That if you are a sober person or you just don't drink, you drink something. Oh, Liquid Death, that must be dangerous. So, or you're being a rebel
You know
drinking
who
it. I
does?
think
You know
that's
who
what
does
it was
that?
designed for. Who?
You know who does that? White Claw. And I just found this out like 2 weeks ago, right? So White Claw has its normal can, and then it's
Mm-hmm.
got like its max can, like a can that's like it's more alcoholic. There's more alcohol in it,
Yeah.
and it's like a blue color scheme instead of the white one. And their non-alcoholic seltzer, that's true. They make regular seltzer water, White Claw does, but they call it non-alcoholic White Claw, is in the same can. or a very similar can. Obviously, it just says non-alcoholic at the top, but very similar can to their more like their harder
Yeah.
stuff. So if you're out, like people don't necessarily automatically know you have non-alcoholic drink. It looks like you actually have the more alcoholic White
Yeah.
Claw.
That's
So
hilarious,
that's the thing.
actually.
Like you're right. That's the thing that people do that they try and hide the water or the juice or the whatever. If you're out and you're not drinking. So it is possible. Again, this could all be publicity. And I mean, McGregor is, if nothing else, at this point, a seasoned media personality. So he absolutely knows how to get people talking about him. He's been doing it for years, even without fighting. Um, so I guess there's every possibility that he thinks he's going to win this, and he's trying to set the bar low so he can shoot above it with a win, and get everybody talking about how great he is again. And that's what would happen if it worked out. So
We are waiting for the big WWE collaboration with him
I
after
don't
all is
know.
said and
Maybe now, if he can rehab himself, I've said from the beginning. I got my Cody shirt on right here. If he can
done.
rehab his image, then sure. But that company has a lot going on in terms of legal woes and public relations nightmares. That's saying that as a big fan. So they don't need to bring another one in.
No
Uh,
more liabilities.
like if he could fix his image, fine. But as of right now, I think he's still too toxic a brand for a company that's trying to get rid of its own toxic brand. And that would not be a good fit for either of them, I don't think.
I get it. Completely get it. All right, now let's switch gears. So let's talk about a viral TikTok story. Thank you. This information from boardpanda.com. Last week, Elizabeth Teckenbrock went viral for posting a heartbreaking video of herself on TikTok, sobbing as she revealed, quote, being a single mom is making your own birthday cake on your birthday so that your babies can feel happy they are singing to you. She went viral for this, and people were sad and like, damn, that stinks and whatever. But then her alleged ex-husband jumped into the realm. His name is Andrew Cormier, and he accused Elizabeth of owing over $21,000 in child support and faking cancer. And then Elizabeth came back at him, and she claimed that he is an abusive Scientologist creating a smear website campaigns against her. So pretty ugly, to say the least. And I mean, some things are definitely not meant to be aired on the internet. So we're now all watching this turmoil of this family. So Ryan, what do you think about this story? And are you on anybody's side?
Well, I'm going to presume there are actually kids. And honestly, I say that not even as a joke. There was
Mhm.
a while where I believed that neither one of them has any kids and it's all made up. But I'm going to assume the kids are real for a second and say that neither one of them is fit to be the parents of these children. Like, what are you doing? And as terms of sides, I think everyone is bad. I don't
That's
have a
what I was
side.
gonna
And
say.
here's why. So, number one, you go to that first video. What are you doing recording that video? You had to set up your tripod, you had to put your phone on it, you had to hit record, and you had to start crying. You're presumably not crying when you did all this. Or, counterpoint, you are crying because you are lonely. And as you're crying, your head goes, I should film myself crying about this and put it on the internet. So either you're not really sad or you're really sad and are trying to use it to go viral, which both of those are crazy.
Yep.
But then you look into this guy a little bit more. He's like 11 years her senior, and she's like
Weird.
28 years old and has multiple kids with this guy.
Huh.
So, like, that means if she's got multiple kids, she's only 28. So she had to have them young. She had to have been married young. This dude is 11 years her senior. So if she's like 18 when she gets married, like, this dude's an old man compared to her. That's weird, right? Like, no one is talking about that, and I get that, but that's weird that's a thing. And also, if she owes him that much money, like, what are you doing to work that out? I feel like there's ways to get that money, but he doesn't seem to be doing any of them. And then they both claim to have the kids, and you could just go to both their houses and see where the kids are. Like, that's a weird thing for them both to claim the same thing about their kids. So at least one of them is completely crazy. Um, And I think that you're right. Some things don't need to be let out on the internet. TikTok is what it is. Not everything you do needs to be on there, I would say. Um, and yeah, that's that. As far as the video though, like that was covered in Newsweek. The first video. Like people are really and I get that. Like there are regular people who might be on TikTok who really are sad because they are single moms who have to like put on a happy face for their birthday or whatever, um, for their kids. Like I get that, and I do feel for those people. And if the video was helpful to them, then I suppose that's fine. Which just makes this dude reaching out because she didn't say this guy's name in the video, right? It was her crying, making cupcakes.
Yeah.
And then this dude just jumped in and was like, nah, she's crazy. I'm like, we don't even know you. You could have been secret forever until you jumped in on your own TikTok to insert yourself into the story.
Weird stitching coming moment.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I wanted to be against this because I thought the initial video was so weird. Like, really, truly, I cannot comprehend in either scenario why she filmed herself crying while baking. But everything this guy did is just as weird as that. And so I don't know. I don't know who's right, who's wrong. I think that the authorities probably need to check on those kids wherever they live. Um, and yeah, that's where I landed on this. Everyone on the internet gets a minus 10 points today because of these two.
I mean, not to harp too much on a boomer take, and I'm not trying to general, it's fair to say we have definitely commented on Gen Z a lot. Maybe if you want to say criticize, that's up to you to say. But we've definitely had a lot to say about the generation under us. Some people may even say we are the oldest of the Gen Z generation, depending on who you're talking to. But do you feel like, Gen Z, YouTube's old slogan was broadcast yourself?
Yeah, I
And it
remember that.
seems people are taking that so literally and like I don't get it either. Like people who make these very personal videos and using it as ways of content and quote unquote, maybe you're trying to just cash in on it, or this is your way to cope with what sadness you're dealing with. Like, is this just a generational thing? You know what? I'm going through some real stuff right now. I must let everybody know. And if I hit a certain threshold, I'll even get paid for it.
I wish that I believed that it was that, but it's not. It's just not because it's not a healthy outlet. So like if you
And
are that
I don't know of enough research if or if not to agree or disagree. It's just you just often see it a lot.
yeah, I mean again, we're both talking from observations. Neither one of us is a if you are a sociologist or like a psychologist who studies this thing, like
Yeah.
message at TweetCap, reach out to Productive Conversations on all social medias. Let us know. We'll have you on. I would love to talk about it. We talk about this all the time, both on the show and off the show. But like to me, like it's not a healthy way to let that stuff out.
Yeah.
Like, all right, real world
Airing
example.
dirty laundry as literal as it can be.
Real world example. We had a few people upset with me recently about some stuff I said, and that was clearly me overgeneralizing and speaking like an outrageous tone. Clearly, and doing so got people to respond. Like it worked in that respect. But like if you're really going through a hard time, like I wasn't, that had nothing to do with
Yeah.
me.
You did it
Like
for
that's
literal content. Like,
right. Like I'm not involved at all. So like, but if it's your real life, if you're not
yeah.
faking, then like what are you doing? Like why would you put yourself into that? And then also,
Just don't
if
get it.
you are faking it, right? No, seriously, if you are faking it, like that's kind of messed up, right? Because there's
Yeah.
people who aren't. Like, all right, as an example, like, so my partner did put a video up, like a real one, about the whole Butker thing, separate from us, and I'm not sharing it, but it's
Mhm.
up there, and like they received some support from people, but they also received some negative feedback, and I mean, obviously. I was like, don't read any of the comments, good or bad. And so it's fine. But I read them because I do this. This is what I do. And I was looking at it, I was like, could you imagine putting a real personal thing out there and expect like and getting completely jumped on by it? Like if it
Oh
was, and
yeah.
especially if it's something serious, like, your mental health, right? Or your family, or even your physical health. People talk about physical ailments. It doesn't make sense to me at all, Matt. And again, I really want someone to tell us why they do it. Um, Especially someone who does it a lot. It's one thing to do it once in a while, like to jump on to like a big trend or whatever. But like people who consistently do this, make content about themselves in this way, so raw, and like, A, we want to know if it's real or not, and B, like if it isn't real, why did you choose this subject matter? And if it is real, how do you deal with the fact that half the people who see it are gonna
They don't
clown
even.
you? They're gonna
Yeah.
clown you. No matter what you say, half the people who see anything online are going to be angry with you and
even
dislike you and make fun of you. That's just
even I was just saying, even in the most genuine moments, they'll still make fun. You could literally save somebody from a burning building. It's like, man, that guy's mad stupid for running in there. He should, or something like that, you know?
yeah, or they'll comment how big your forehead is. So like, yeah, there's no upside to posting anything other than if you're trying to monetize it. That's the upside, right? If you're
Yeah.
trying to make content, to get views and to monetize and to have a show and to entertain people, then sure, but like don't use your own life to entertain people because yeah, that just feels bad. It just feels
It's just
wrong.
awkward. And, you learn as you're getting older and seeing this slowly hitting on. YouTube will be 20 years old next year. So if we want to say YouTube was the threshold to start the broadcasting yourself aspect of
Mhm.
people really making their content that way, now we have 2 decades of examples, and still, we probably still need many more, at least another decade, to really know the human psychology and the human behavior to
But it's
something like
different
this.
now. It's
Yeah,
different now.
much
'Cause even
different.
us, like we do this all the time, and we aren't Gen Z. We're millennials, but we're close. Like we're on that borderline. You know what I mean? Where it's a conversation. But even we grew up in a time where we constantly heard like, "Don't post this, don't post
Oh
that."
yeah. Ha!
Employers will see your socials, all sorts of things. We know, like we heard all that. And by the way, I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying like it's something that isn't talked about anymore at
Oh
all.
yeah.
And so like
Especially the
some of it maybe comes from younger generations not thinking there's any like real jobs for them anyway. And they're like,
yeah, right.
what consequences am I scared of? Like so maybe it's that. Maybe it's like just a general like everyone wants to be an entertainer because nobody knows what else they can possibly do. Maybe it's that. I don't know, but like goodness, you're right. It is different. After two decades, you can see a clear difference. Like we have far more reservations about what we put out than people younger than us.
Yeah.
Like it's clear. It's clear. Like, and we've worked with people, and it's clear. Like, you know what I mean? So it's
And
interesting.
that's what's great about really the opinion and commenting business on that, is us reacting to stuff in that way
Yeah,
instead of just, I mean, like look at the OnlyFans generation too, and like what they're
yeah. I
putting
mean,
themselves out there doing for life, and then people do it on a secondary market on other sites, like stuff
yeah,
like that, and not specifically adult entertainment, but just putting yourself out there and you're most vulnerable, if you will.
right,
And some people just don't care. Simple as that.
right, exactly. And
And that's
it's
both good or bad.
well, it's neither good nor bad. It's just the facts.
Yeah.
There's definitely a more laissez-faire attitude, right? More of a this is fine. And I mean it, and a lot of times it is. Again, we know OnlyFans, like we've interviewed several OnlyFans like models and stuff on this show. They're all very successful and very nice. And so I'm not critiquing it at all. It is just a totally different like way of being. The idea of just being so online, like for everyone to like interact with you, good or bad, is different. And you're right. It's just this is an example of that because this video didn't need to exist, and then the video commenting on this video didn't need to, like every video needed to exist just a little bit less than the first one, and now it's spiraled into like a whole fight online, and everyone's weighing in now. It's not just a fight between exes, it's an internet fight between men, women, this group, that group,
Yeah,
whatever
that is
whatever.
something that's hilarious when you see an argument in the comment section based on other comments. That's
Right.
happened a bunch of times on our videos too.
Yes.
That's that's hilarious. You're more focused on the comment
Yeah.
arguments than the actual
Yeah,
content of the
you're
video from it.
engaging with a comment about what someone else is talking about. But again, for this argument, like this is a personal argument. Like kids are involved, like
Yeah, like
real
this.
kids presumably. And now you got comment sections weighing in on who should have custody of these children.
Yeah,
Like
right. Who's
what?
right or
You're
wrong?
not a judge.
Like I'm
You're a
sure
TikTok user.
I'm sure like this keeps getting in the way. There's going to have to be more legal issues, and this is your evidence now.
Well, yeah, can you imagine? Like, yeah, they can throw this up in court, all of it. But
Yeah.
whoever's lying is going to get absolutely like, hammered by a judge and a lawyer when they're like, "Look at what you said. None of this is true." Like, if she doesn't owe 21,000, what? Like, what do
Yeah,
you? How do
well,
you get out of that in court?
he definitely has that document, whether doctored or not.
Well, yeah,
So that's
my
the
thing
thing
was,
we have to wonder.
right, he has documents, but it didn't like there weren't paper documents. They're just a flash on the screen and went away. It's like hard to tell what that even meant, but all the numbers he was saying lined up, right? So like, what about her? Like, she's now going on and claiming he's abusive. Like, is that
Yeah,
libel at that
I
point? Not libel because that's what's it called when you speak it?
slander.
Slander. Yeah, is that slander at that point? I don't
Yeah,
know.
we'd have to ask the legal experts there, but it's pretty freaky stuff. So though we don't have our shared screen today, we will definitely have it for the next show. I'm just having a error here. I'd
That's no
like to
worries.
talk about Lizzo. Lizzo's back. So Lizzo, after making her return, hasn't made any music or anything, but she was but Lizzo was featured on an American classic, South Park. South Park released a special on the Paramount Plus network known as The End of Obesity, which is centered around the weight loss drugs, and especially Ozempic. So, in a blind reaction video posted on her Instagram, the About Damn Time singer shared her thoughts on the long-running animated series' new episode, which premiered on Friday. By the way, this is from The Hollywood Reporter. She said, quote, "Guys, my worst fear has been actualized," she said at the beginning. Quote, "I've been referenced in a South Park episode. I'm so scared." Now, again, I don't have the video to actually show it, but if you actually see her reaction, she looks very sarcastic about it.
She's not scared.
And she was almost laughing at it. But I don't know what her intentions were exactly. And South Park has clearly shown for 25 plus years and not going away anytime soon, Matt Stone and Trey Parker truly aren't afraid of anybody. Like pre-internet, or well, I should say the very beginning of the internet, they tried to knock her. There's no way you can knock them down. Literally nothing. They literally at one point made fun of Muhammad. And that was the closest probably national security threat they had, and they still did it anyways.
I know that was crazy.
And it's still 20 years later, and they're just still at it. And I was huge into South Park in middle school and high school, and I'm starting to get back into it now because I really like, because I appreciate their work so much more as an adult than a kid. As a kid, I was watching it just to get the dirty stuff, like, oh my God, I saw that. But now I like the satire with it. But anyways, Lizzo's reaction was funny, and yet some people who didn't clearly watch the video, because she seemed to actually somewhat support this, and still it was funny. And then we had the commenters being upset at Matt Stone and Trey Parker as if they care. But what do you see out of this video of Lizzo, quite frankly, being a good sport, I would think?
Yeah, she obviously didn't care about this. I was also kind of surprised at the people who are upset with South Park here. I mean, yes, I understand the joke is a little bit mean-spirited in some ways because Lizzo's like heavier, right? But Lizzo didn't care. And the whole point of it, I mean, I watched the Lizzo commercial, like for the Lizzo medication, and and as well as Lizzo's response to that commercial, and it's like basically it's like whatever, like 70% of respondents just don't give an F anymore. And she even said like her response was like, I'm really like I've shown people how to love themselves and just not give an F about anything, and I'm gonna keep showing them how to continue to do that. So like Lizzo clearly took it in the way it was intended. Like the Lizzo drug in the show is meant to counteract the idea that you needed to take Ozempic for weight loss. And I do think it's important, like the Ozempic bit, not prescribed for weight loss typically. It's prescribed for diabetes. There are
Yeah.
people who are paying lots and lots of money to take Ozempic off label to lose weight because one of the active ingredients will help you do that. There are also weight loss drugs using that active ingredient, but the Ozempic thing is mostly a Hollywood deal, right? Like people who can afford it just paying like $1,500 a shot to look better. And so this is supposed to be the counter to that, is to just not give a crap what you look like and just
Yeah.
enjoy yourself. And so Lizzo took the positive side of that and saying like, yeah, I'm all about that. So I'm glad they use that. But it's like, it's weird. The fans defending her are kind of low key calling her fat. That's true. They're like, well, how come you're making fun of Lizzo on the Ozempic episode? Like, I don't know, because just like their reference is that she doesn't care about her body image.
Yeah.
You're the one who's making the obesity connection to Lizzo,
Hence
not
their
Lizzo.
satire calling out this hilarious hypocrisy.
It's crazy, but I do think that she was a good sport about it. In terms of taking people down or not, like Lizzo has absolutely no credibility right now. Like that we could
Yeah.
say that. That's fair. This is actually probably the best press she's gotten in a while. With all the
I
stuff
think I
going
would have
on.
said the same thing.
Yeah. So even if she didn't like the joke, I think she's probably like, I kind of have to be a good sport because if I throw a hissy fit about a joke, everyone's gonna talk about all the nasty nonsense that I've got going on.
Yeah. And
So
especially for the South Park creators, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, who just, like I said, I think it's fair to say one of our greatest creatives
oh yeah, they never
beyond South
apologize.
Park. Yeah, they'll never apologize.
No.
These are also this with from the Book of Mormon and Team America World Police and other great stuff they're doing. Like these guys will not back down from anybody. There's
Right.
hundreds of examples of when they really should. They were doing this before cancel culture was even a thing. And well, that's why they're rolling. And I like this new idea of doing more specials and
I
shorter
do too.
seasons instead of burning yourself out doing a 10 episode run. I think this is the way they should
South
go.
Park, yeah, and South Park is it's different now in that I don't know that I think it almost exists as like a legacy show, like almost like The Simpsons, frankly.
Yeah.
I think that their cultural impact is just kind of baked in, and therefore you're not gonna get a lot of new people by doing these. Like you're not gonna get a lot of new people tune in every season. So why would you break yourself trying to keep up with your old schedule? Back when South Park was like a contender for like when they were trying to get eyeballs, South Park at one point, like every show, was trying to get viewers. Every show at some point when it starts out is struggling and fighting and clawing to get viewers. South Park is not. Like South Park has viewers now.
And they
That's
don't
it.
need it.
Right. They don't need new viewers either. You're right. But streaming, especially, they'll never need new viewers ever again because the streaming aspect will keep them a relevant property that they can market off of forever. And
Yeah.
so you got your fans, you've got your IP, you've got your marketability. You can just take it easy and do stuff like this. And I think it's again, I thought it was good, good idea. And you're right. This needs to be the way forward. I think it's going to be the way forward. They're
Yeah,
not dumb.
do
So
short film. Well, yeah, short films, but based on a trending topic, like
right.
was epic when they did when they did pandemic episodes.
Yep.
Like that's what makes the most sense instead of just trying to the ideas. Obviously, they'll definitely do an election like short film, and
that'll
that's
be
the way to
interesting
go.
because like one of the toughest seasons to watch, a lot of people talk about, like one of the I want to say worst, but one of the ones that didn't age the best and had the most kind of backlash was their 2016 election
Oh
season.
yeah,
And a lot of people didn't like that one, and it was a little bit because there was, I think, some burnout. It was
right.
happening at the same exact time. It was every night because it was every episode in the season. Um, Also, things had to be rewritten clearly because they didn't know what was going to happen, and they got it wrong when they guessed. So, like, you know what I mean? This is a little bit easier. Give yourself a chance to see a trend and do one thing on it and then put it away. I think it's good.
one of my favorite tidbits about that with the 2016 election, that one of their ideas, since obviously they predicted the wrong winner with the
Yeah.
episode, that they were literally going to put a half an hour disclaimer, basically say this wasn't how we expected. So here's this for this week.
Yeah.
But they hauled ass and
And they
came up
made a
with
new one.
something.
Yeah,
So
like
this is the way to go. And you see them, they're immensely talented in other realms, like the theater, and they're doing some of the Kendrick Lamar.
yep.
I assume will come out next year, a musical or stuff like that. So a lot of props, and they're a great way of showing how a creator stays relevant. As for
Yes.
the Simpsons, they're just kind of there, and
Yeah, well, yeah,
it'll be a
you
big
could
deal if they ever decide to hang it up. But
right. And you can
they're just
compare
there.
which one's better, and I get that. But I mean, they kind of exist in the same space. There's never going to be a reason to cancel The Simpsons unless the people who do The Simpsons don't want to do it anymore.
Exactly, the characters don't age.
Right, and the IP will always sell. You know what I mean? Like it's always good to have for your streaming property, The Simpsons on deck. As is the same with South Park. But you're right. The creators of South Park, I think, are definitely a little bit faster, more nimble still, which is always good. And back to Lizzo, I think she was a good sport. I think everyone needs to calm down. What's it called? Doesn't she have a song like that? No, she has a song something similar to that. But
I gotta get more on my Lizzo eventually, but we'll see what
I
happens there.
I'm not going to be.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, you want to talk about Chipotle though? And
it's
again, I'm
tough.
really
But
bummed about. I'm sorry for the screen sharings off for this episode, but a truly hilarious catch on is coming out. So let me just have that really quick. Um, but first, Ryan, you like Chipotle?
I do actually really like Chipotle, and I know it's not like authentic, and I know it's not even that good for you. But I, whenever I'm in the mood for like fast food at this point, it's almost always Chipotle. Sometimes my wife wants kava, which is like a like Mediterranean Greek bowls or whatever, very
Yeah.
similar to Chipotle, and so um we'll do that too. We'll basically switch off kava or Chipotle depending on who got to pick last time. But that's it. Like I don't do the burgers and fries anymore. I don't, and I don't do much fast food at all anymore. But or else I'll need some Ozempic. But when I do it, it is Chipotle.
Yeah, get as authentic food as you can. So I think Chipotle claims that there's 4 ounces in their burritos. They
Mhm.
claim people claim that. Sorry, I should say Chipotle claims to give you a lot of food, and a lot of
Right.
people just straight up don't believe that. Now, people have caught on, and I have a tweet from @FearedBuck,
I saw
and
this.
he said, "quote There's currently a quote method going around for Chipotle. Basically, you film them while they make your food, which makes them not skimp out on the portions because they don't want bad publicity or reviews," which is hilarious, which something I definitely believe. And let me tell you something. I often order my food to go. Like I just don't stay in the line. I usually just,
Yeah.
whether through the Uber Eats, DoorDash apps, I always pick pickup options. I just don't want to stand in lines. And this is just recently, this past weekend, I ordered. I have enough points. I did double protein in my burrito. I
Okay.
swear to you, it was just the same, and I just wasted 750 points. So when you see a Chipotle burrito, 4 ounces is a lot. I just think they skimp too. I mean, I get it, especially Chipotle's around here. They have a lot of people to fill, and
Mhm.
so much is going, and prices are up. Do I blame them? I mean, not necessarily. It's hard out here for every restaurant, but I mean, it seems kind of silly that it'll take me recording you allegedly, and then you'll give the portion sizes you promised us.
Here's the thing. I don't think that that's accurate. Not that they don't give you enough. They do. Don't. You're right. But there's no way that because in order to know how much 4 ounces is, no human being is like, oh, 4 ounces. You have to weigh it.
Yeah, and
Do
that's
you know?
where the
Do you
certain
know how much?
TikTokers have to
Right.
do.
Do you know how much longer it will take every single order if the protein has to be weighed? So when you take out your phone and you film Chipotle, you're just getting an extra scoop. You're not getting the 4 ounces that you were promised. if they were right on the money the first time around, if you got a good Chipotle, and you got 4 ounces just by accident, but you're filming, you're getting like 12 because they're like, all right, I'm being filmed. I want that, because they know again, and you don't know what 4 ounces is as the filmer, as the camera person. So they just know that you're there. They know that you want more food. You're basically stealing. I'm not gonna lie to you. You're basically just trying to get more food. Like that's when if you take your camera out, you just want more food, and they know that you just
Yeah,
want more food. So they're
and
just
you
gonna give you an extra scoop because you're
and
like,
they
all right,
and they definitely know that you will somehow broadcast this to people.
right. So they're like, all right, we're gonna give them two. We'll give them three. We're gonna give them three. We'll give them four. Like if you take your hand out and you film it, they're gonna do an extra scoop just to show your followers, however many you think you have, right? Or they think you have, um, that they're not skimping out on you because they're giving you more. But they're not giving you what you were promised. They're giving you more than what you were promised. So I don't know. Like I would never go to Chipotle and take my phone out. And I know that they probably give me less, but you know what? I've never had Chipotle and been like, I'm still hungry, right? Like
Yeah, I
I get
think
my
for the most
order,
part.
I eat my order, I'm like, all right, good, I'm full. Move on with my day. I don't need the extra ounce. You know what I mean? They give me 3.5 instead of 4. They give me 3 instead of 4 even. I just don't need it. If I needed it, then I would maybe take my phone out, but nobody needs it. We have so many calories in those Chipotle burritos, man. We don't need the extra. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I would be very annoyed if I was in line, by the way, and you were filming, so they had to spend extra
Yeah,
time on your order. Like, I would be so annoyed if I was behind someone filming their Chipotle order.
and definitely a lot of
Uh,
people who film stuff definitely choose Chipotle. If you know what I'm saying.
well, yeah, but yeah, exactly. And like, I
Imagine
get it.
McDonald's they had that
They
going.
just throw your phone in the fryer at McDonald's. They don't care. They got so much money. They could bury you in, a mountain of whatever if you tried to get, feisty with McDonald's. So, um, I don't know. I don't know. To me, this is a bad trend. It sets a bad precedent too, because now people are going to film everything, and people are already starting to film everything. It goes
Yeah,
back to to what we were just talking about. But like, not everything needs to be on camera. Some things do. Some things, and sometimes getting something on camera will actually make a huge difference in like helping someone or righting a wrong that's been committed. But Chipotle is not the venue for you to take out your camera and try to right a wrong. That's my opinion.
nope, nope. Not a problem at all. There, just be respectful, right? So two quick things before we go. So this story was going to be completely different how we were going to talk about it, but we have a funny update with this. All right. Mark Davis, the owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, also the Las Vegas Aces in the WNBA,
Mhm.
from NFL royalty, right? Has his hilarious haircut, has a lot of money. It was reported on Monday that Hayden Hopkins, the 26-year-old girlfriend of 70-year-old Raiders owner Mark Davis, is now pregnant. And let me just say what World Star said. World Star said, congratulations to the 69-year-old. Already they contradicted their, I'm reading it, they contradicted their graphic. But anyways, World Star, congratulations to the 69-year-old Raiders owner, Mark Davis, and his 26-year-old girlfriend, who are now expecting a baby. Is age just a number? Mark Davis currently is worth $2.3 billion. They just make that blatant statement. All right, so, things are nice and sweet and everything, but, and this is the real segment now that we're going on, Hayden actually responded. She allegedly tweeted, well, not allegedly, she did tweet on her account, her first tweets in 3 years. Reports of Mark Davis being the father of my child are wildly untrue. I was pictured sitting next to him at a game in 2022 and have endured false rumors of a romantic relationship since. I was just a guest sitting in the owner's box with other friends. These continued media stories are negatively affecting what should be my happiest days. Joey and I are excited to welcome our baby in the fall. Wow, that is definitely escalated quickly. All right. I do believe Hayden. And
Yeah.
that is insanely weird. And you'd think there'd be more pictures of them or them interacting. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I've seen any other pictures. It's just like, you saw him at this game, and I thought this might be a Mandela effect. I could have sworn he was with some lady in the 2023 NFL season, but allegedly this picture's from 2022. And yeah, this is just very strange. Is we're talking about it right away before it could really get big, but
Hmm.
wow. And I
Yeah.
admit to just anytime I see somebody significantly younger, somebody significantly older, I definitely assume gold digger. I'm sorry, that's just me. And I'm sure there's definitely genuine relationships, probably not, but who knows? That's why I'm waiting for a great documentary to come out to explain mutually beneficial relationships with much older and much younger partners. But until then, focusing on this story, if I was Hayden, I too would feel some type of way if I'm being romantically linked with somebody that I'm not. But I don't know how this started. I actually think some people think the NFL agitator accounts actually started this, but
Could be.
we do need some more research onto this. But according to Hayden, she said the baby's not his. But I know people have definitely made Mark Davis and the younger girlfriend joke before. Maybe somebody else, I just don't know. But Ryan, what do you think about this?
I mean, the Mark Davis younger girlfriend joke is fine in that, not fine, but like billionaires get that all the time, right? Like, and honestly, billionaires do that all the time. There's a lot of billionaires who have younger girlfriends. So the idea that the joke would take off or that the rumor would take off isn't crazy. But yeah, I mean, in terms of whether or not she's telling the truth, I would say it's obvious she is. Because if she wasn't, like, if it was his child, she'd be, looking at a lot of money, frankly. You know what I mean? So obviously, if, she's obviously not connected with him now. Maybe she was in 2022, but she's not connected with him now because she would have cashed in on that, frankly. Um,
an
no, seriously, like if it was his,
18-year paycheck.
right, or whatever, it may not be a full thing. It might be, might be for silence. I don't know. Like, I'm just saying, if he's a billionaire who's got a kid with someone else, someone else would have gone to the billionaire and been like, "This is your child, and you need to provide for them. At bare minimum, you need to give them like some of your money." So the fact that she's absolutely denying it means I think that she's totally telling the truth. Um, yeah, and I do think it is probably just trolls and aggravator accounts, which are growing in popularity in the NFL, and I've no surprise there. Yeah, I think that's probably what you said is probably exactly right. And I just would say that for fans who care about this, like, stop. Why do you care whose baby this is? Like, this is how rumors start, and obviously, you can't control all of it because people will continue to do what people have always done. But the idea that this poor woman is going to have to go through what is probably a significant amount of social media nonsense during the 9 months or less or more, depending on how the pregnancy goes, of her pregnancy is kind of messed up. And Mark Davis is not going to have to deal with any of this because A, it's not his baby, so it doesn't matter to him what happens. And B, he's a billionaire. So he's a billionaire who's not having a baby. So he doesn't care what's happening. Like, this doesn't affect him. So if you don't like him because he's a billionaire or whatever, like, posting this nonsense to try and slander him, that's not going to work. No one cares. This is not 1952 anymore. Yeah, okay. If he has a kid with someone else, he has a kid with someone else. It happens, right? But yeah, I don't know. This feels like just attacking a woman for absolutely no reason.
Yeah,
Um,
personally, I like Mark Davis. I think he's funny. He has hilarious interviews. I mean, he has a confidence to rock that haircut. And sure, he's a nepo baby, but
also,
he's fine. And
I mean,
I think the move from Oakland to Vegas has actually been a positive one. It wasn't positive when they went to LA, but you know, the only other thing I would assume, because I know that he's the only son of Al Davis, the original owner, and he doesn't have children, so just to keep family lineage alive. But I don't think the internet's not thinking about that.
No, and
I
like
didn't mean to interrupt your point. You're about to say something
no,
else.
I was just gonna say like look at that haircut.
You
He
have to be a
did.
billionaire to
He
to
doesn't. He
seriously.
doesn't have a child out of wedlock with this woman with that haircut. Come on.
I mean, there's definitely some people out in Vegas who will have no problem giving out Mark Davis a baby, but that's for another day.
Well, yeah, hasn't happened yet, so
Yeah,
we'll
right.
cross that bridge when we get to it.
All right, one last story before we say goodbye. And again, unfortunately, I don't have the video to show you, but Wheel of Fortune in the, in a South Park moment, really. So we have this guy, I what is I vague I know Wheel of Fortune, but I didn't watch it a lot. You roll it like what is this like the opening round or something?
I
I
mean,
really don't know
yeah,
too much of the game.
the
In fact, can you actually
essentially,
tell the story here? I think before for you, why do people? What happened to Wheel of Fortune this past week?
well, so as you were trying to explain, like Wheel of Fortune, you're trying to guess a phrase or a word or whatever, and you spin around, you get money to do this. You try and guess letters. If you guess letters, you can continue to go. If you get it wrong, moves on to the next person, and then when it's your turn, you can try and solve the puzzle, right? So if you think you know the answer to the puzzle based on the letters that are on there, and there's a few different rounds, but that's the general concept of Wheel of Fortune for anyone who doesn't watch, younger listeners probably. So in this particular case, they're looking for a phrase, right? Um, and the it said that the contestant's name was Blake, by the way, was looking for the phrase "This is the best." That was the correct answer. And on it was they knew about an I, a T, an E, a B, a T, and an exclamation point. And usually they just give you things like exclamation points or question marks, so gives you a little hint. So Blake here, or no, doesn't really matter. The contestant who's up gave a guess, and the guess was right in the butt! Exclamation point. Uh, that was wrong, as I just explained. One of the one of the female contestants actually gasped when he said it, which made it a little bit funnier as well. But the gaff has gone viral, obviously, and it is reminiscent of a South Park clip that you can look up. I'm not going to elaborate at all.
Yeah, people who annoy
Um,
you.
yes, exactly. And so and again, everyone's taking it like pretty well. Nothing was meant bad by it. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't meant to be wrong. I think he maybe just forgot what show he was on. But
And
and the
also,
reason I say that is because he only had two T's, but has his answer has three T's. He only had two. So if he had been thinking clearly, he definitely wouldn't have said "but" for the last word.
also,
But
right is spelled with 5 letters. There's only four.
yes, again thinking clearly, you would have been like, "This can't be correct." And also, "right" has a T in it, which wasn't on the board. So you know, like I think unfortunately he got a little too overzealous. Had he been, and you know what, the last word could be "but." I suppose it's the right number of letters, but it gave a very funny kind of viral moment for a show that's been on for a really long time and hasn't had one of those in a while.
Yes, we need those moments. I think this is Pat Sajak's final season too, so nice little viral moment before you go out.
Yeah, can you imagine like one of your last days in the office, you go, but I say weeks, not even like season, like he's weeks away. June 7th is his final episode.
Oh,
Ryan
really?
Seacrest is replacing him for the fall season. So
Just in an interim or full time, or is he gonna be full time?
that I don't have that information. Just the New York Post is where I'm reading all this from right now. And all they said is that Ryan Seacrest is replacing him in the fall. I would assume because they didn't say interim, that means that at least the intention is for Ryan Seacrest to be the permanent host. So,
I just will get another paycheck, right?
well, I mean, yeah.
What about Aaron Rodgers?
Well, he's already turned down the vice presidency, Matt. He said we have to stop asking him to do all these jobs for us. He just wants to play football.
Oh man, I feel there's definitely gonna be lots to talk about with him later in the
Aaron
year.
Rodgers is the Hulk Hogan of the National Football League.
But seriously though, good stuff today, Ryan. Plenty done. We'll see you at the end of the week. And be well until then.
Sounds good, Matt. See you then.